Hey guys, Lucas Sacco here. Today I have us VOD reviewing one of our games from the $2,000 2v2 Ironman tournament hosted by Jib. Here we have a couple different decks that are pretty new to the format as well as some of the old ones. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm doing this with Julien and Kehon. If you want to check out his YouTube, it'll be in the comment section down below or the description. Starting off, it is 40 versus 41. Gotta love to see it. We are going to win the rock, paper, scissors there. We are going first. Starting off here, we have Fuwalos, Christian Inclusion, Chaotic Elements, Triple Tactics Thrust, and Chaotic Elements. And they have Nibiru, Mitsurugi Ritual, Ash Blossom, Murakumo, and Kusanagi. Okay, so the deck that I'm using here is the Christian K9 deck. This is in the spreadsheet, this exact deck list. If you scroll to the bottom, I know a lot of people didn't see this, but at the bottom, there's actually like other versions of the deck, so you can go check it out there. But we're doing the same combos, and there's just like a couple different variations of the decks that we have built in the spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is in the description box as well, if you guys want to go check it out there. Julien, what do you think about these hands?
Our hand is insane. This deck has some crazy hands like this. If you have Jokul plus, I'm so bad with the Christian names. Solfador.
Yeah.
Solfador. Oh my goodness. And we have access to both of those, so.
Yeah. That's like the really cool thing with this deck is that if you build this deck correctly, like you will almost always have access to both of the cards there, and that's really all you need to like fully go off. Let me see here. So we're going to start off with activating Christian Inclusion. The reason we did this here is because it plays around Droll a little bit better, because if we did get Drolled, then we'd be able to go like Solfador popping Inclusion still, special, and then you can use the effect to go ahead and send 2 from deck. You can Inclusion Revive. Basically get to a board still that's pretty good through a Droll. He thinks here for a second. Basically his Asher, his Nib. He decides to let that go. We get Solfador. We activate the Chaotic Elements. That's where he decides to Ash, which is totally fine, right? Because we're still going to have Solfador to push through this.
Yeah, we still have full Christian, so that's pretty strong already.
Yeah, still full Christian combo. The other thing that was fine with us, if he Ashed the Inclusion here, we actually would have had full combo as well. Because you can Chaotic Element, add Jokul, normal summon it, use the effect to go ahead and add Izuna at that point. Since he's hand trapped, you can actually extend further. So Jokul is actually full combo after they interact early. I'm going to go ahead and let this play for a little bit here, because this is just like a pretty standard Christian line. We go Solfador effect. We're going to dump the 2. If you guys didn't see, I told him I was checking out my spreadsheet. There's a little funny banter in this. We use the effect to send both of the little Christian names. That way you search. Use those effects. We get to add Tristaros. Then we're going to normal the Tristaros. Use the Smire effect to go ahead and search as well. Get Cluster. The reason we're getting Cluster here and not Inclusion like it is in the spreadsheet is because we already started with Inclusion. It's a little bit of a different combo. We're going to Synchro off, make Elasceletus. Elasceletus is going to add back our Thistvern, and then we are going to Tristaros to pop our Elasceletus to special summon 2 from deck. The Elasceletus triggers to special back the Tristaros, and then here we go ahead and make Dawn Dragster. We use the Tristaros, or sorry, the Sulfanir to go ahead and discard special back, pop itself, use the effect to summon from deck there, and then we go ahead and make Nova. This is where he's going to nib. It's going to kind of trade with pretty much everything we have here. Gets us to a token, but luckily we have the thrust still, so we're going to thrust into talents, and then from here it just goes pretty easily. Being able to shuffle back the Mitsurugi Ritual puts them at a major disadvantage, and then we can use the Inclusion to special back Elasceletus here. Because of the attack change, it leaves us like above the nib, so like we weren't scared of him just going battle phase to take out this monster, and it gives us an additional pop on Cluster, so that's why we chose to revive that as opposed to the like Tristaros for like the fake sort of interaction there. Do you think there was any like misplays or anything we could have done different?
No, I think it's fine, especially with Thrust. I think the line we took was fine, just because like we knew that he already ashed us, right? So if he ever dropped Nib on us, we can just look at his hand, and we felt really comfortable with this exact setup through Nib, where we get to look at his hand and then have 2 pops on top. Also, I think that reviving Tristaros with the build that we're playing doesn't actually do anything. It just summons another Elasceletus, which isn't like that's not anything. So we might as well just already have the guy on field rather than him being able to beat over the Tristaros and taking it out.
Right. I mean, technically we get us like one more piece of interruption, or not interruption, but like follow up, because Elasceletus Synchro get us something there. But definitely not something that's needed. He draws in a nib. This game's pretty much over here. Kusanagi plus Aramasa, or Kusanagi plus Murakumo doesn't really do anything. Just gonna fast forward this part here. He's gonna go nib, attack the token. Who cares? Normal the Kusanagi. Here we kind of felt like this was a bait, and like there wasn't really anything he could make that would be actually scary. But he goes ahead and links those off into Azalea, which we weren't really thinking of, to be totally honest. He goes Azalea, target our cluster. We decide the best course of action here to play around any sort of further interaction is actually to chain the cluster, targeting our own cards here, because it leaves us with an empty field. That way we can still Fuwalos him if we have to, but also it shuffles back our stuff as follow-up. Turns out he just didn't have anything. He top decked into another Nibiru. So from here, it's just super free. We decided to do the funniest line. That is something to definitely take into account when doing your lines for lethal. Which option is the funniest and what looks the funniest on your field as you're going to actually like do the damage. So we search for Azuna, Jokul, search for this, summon guys. Go ahead and make Ripper here to detach, add Izuna. And then we go activate Lantern, special back from graveyard, use the Lantern to go ahead and add our quick play spell. And then we just decided to normal summon the Azuna because 4 K9 guys is pretty cool. Does a lot of damage.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like funny or anything. It's just game and safe into any hand trap, so it's fine.
I did it solely because it was funny. Moving on. He's using to go first now.
What do you got?
Right, like actually. We have a pretty solid hand here. Droll, Droplet, Jokul, Fuwalos, and Sulfador. Like this is like one of the most like perfect hands you could have for this instance here. He starts off with the Habakiri. Habakiri activates, we chain Fuwalos, get our free draw there. Draw into Tristaros, definitely not a bad draw at all. He searches for Ritual, and then he activates the Ritual to go ahead and
The one thing to remember here is that we had the option to draw and add a Ritual, which had we known, like this was the first round of the tournament, so we don't actually know what people are playing. Had we known that it was pure Mitsurugi, I think we would have drolled here for sure. But we were afraid, I guess, of any other engine like Fiendsmith cards or anything that would just capitalize on us drolling and him being able to access another part of his engine while not being able to, while us not being able to draw. I do think that if it was Fiendsmith cards, we're not actually too worried, just because of the fact that we have droplets, which checks Caesar, or checks Desiree, and we wouldn't be worried about that. So I do think that in retrospect, we probably should have drolled here just to prevent the Mitsurugi engine from going further.
Yeah. Well, one thing we were thinking about is we really didn't know what version, just like he said. So it wasn't just the Fiendsmith build that we were considering, it's also the Ryziel part of the deck. And so I felt like leaving the Fuwalos going on kind of discourages him from normal summoning Ice Ryziel. And Ice Ryziel is pretty scary because it makes Detonator. So Detonator plus a Murakumo wipe may be a little bit more threatening into our hand exactly. But Droplet still counters it. So I do think we were actually supposed to draw there. But it ends up coming back around. With his plays here, he kind of just does like the pure Mitsurugi lines. He searches for Mirror, activates Mirror, uses that to extend some of the Futsu. And then from here, he's just going to finish setting up his board. Do you think there was anything that we could have done as far as drawing in the middle of the turn? Like after we found out that he was playing...
I mean, that's what we did, right? After he added... I guess we didn't even draw him when he added Magatama, but yeah, he could have just chained to it. So I think it's fine. I think we drawed after like him adding Ritual Spell, us choosing to not draw there. I think we drawed at the right time after that. Yep. Like we should have drawn on add a Ritual Spell, like in retrospect again. But after that happened, I think we drawed at the perfect moment just because, it keeps the bards off the field. Like he can't really go much further than this. And we know that he's not going to summon from the deck again anyway, so.
Yeah, that's fair. If you guys missed what happened, he went Prayers, Tribute the Murakumo, added Kusanagi, specialed it, and then went Chainlink 1, Murakumo, Chainlink 2, Kusanagi to add back to Prayers, and we chained roll there. We knew he wasn't going to summon from the extra deck again, just because that's not really what his deck does at this point in time. We're pretty sure that he's playing a pure build based on the fact that he's playing Mirror still, he's playing Futsu, and he searched for the Magatama. But that's going to keep him off the trap, the Mitsurugi trap, if he does play that, which is pretty menacing, honestly. Then he sets 2 cards here. We know what both of these are because he searched them throughout the turn, so we weren't scared of any sort of like impulse or anything like that. That was the one thing that we were worried about, is because if he impulses on our Jokul, it actually like kind of minimizes our lines of play by a lot. We get to our turn.
Yeah, honestly, I think we interrupted him like with the draw at the right time that we should be able to play through the known cards. It's just the unknown cards might be a little more tough for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Imperm. We had a discussion about Imperm here on what we thought we were going to do with it. You wanted to Imperm this Futsu, if I remember right, and I decided that we just shouldn't because it was better to hold on to the cards. How do you feel how that went down? Did you think we should have Imperm this Futsu?
It's kind of rough. Like, so if we Imperm Futsu, it forces him to use Prayers to just reborn the Murakumo, right? Or use Prayers and tribute the Futsu and summon it back. At which point, like using its own effect, at which point we have Droplet to stop it there. But regardless, it's kind of tough. The way he has it set up, our Imperm and our Droplet don't really do anything. Just because we know he has 2 spells and we have no spells to send for the Droplet. So we can never really like stop his disruption from happening with Droplets. It's become like a dead card almost in our hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So holding on to the Imperm, we are going to go activate Jokul, reveal the Sulfador. This is like the best start for the deck. We already talked about that. We activate the Sulfador effect on summon. He thinks for a bit, thinks if he wants to use the Futsu effect, and he does end up activating it. Summons back the Murakumo now. This is not great for us. And once again, the reason that we can't drop play here is the same thing as Julien said. We don't have a spell to send, so him being able to chain prayers or chain the Magatama to be able to bypass that negation realm is kind of rough for us. We decided to lead with the Sulfador as far as, or lead with Jokul, summon Sulfador, because it gets us to a spell. So like we were hoping that he would actually hold on to his Murakumo disruption for a little bit. That way we could Smiger, Serpent into Inclusion, use Inclusion to get a search there, and then whenever we drop it, we could send the Inclusion. But it just didn't pan out that way. He disrupted us a little bit earlier. We went ahead and sent Smiger as well as Sulfenir here because we thought this was the one like setup that would give us multiple lines of play into what he had. And then he goes ahead and activates the Murakumo to wipe here. Was there anything that you think we could have changed as far as what names we sent?
No, I think it's fine. Especially, didn't we set out the Thyvern too?
Yeah.
So it's not like we could have sent that. So this is pretty much like the only thing we can do. Keep in mind that we only play one Tristaros. So even though you're gonna see it in our hand for like 90% of these matches, like this is the we only play one, so we can't dump that. I don't think we could have dumped literally anything else. Like we dump a Schmeiger, which gets us to spell anyways, and we can pop the spell with Sulfador. So no, I think we did that correctly.
Okay, I gotcha. And then we are going to lead with normal summon Tristaros here. This is in case they interrupt us, like if they Ash Blossom us or Droll us, we'll have the Tristaros to go ahead and extend there, have some sort of interaction. We activate Smiger. Smiger goes through. We get Inclusion. And then we activate the Inclusion. Use that to search for our Sulfador. Gets us a little bit more like extension with the Sulfenir, pitch the Sulfador. Honestly, we just don't have that many Christian names in deck at this point because we're post-side. And so that's just kind of one of the only names that we can search here. We use the Sulfenir, pitch the Sulfador, just like we said. We special back. We decided to pop our Inclusion here because this gives us like the most pushes technically into the board because now we can use the Inclusion to special back. He triggers the Futsu, specials back, gets an add here, and then we decide the next thing to do is to use the Inclusion to special back our Sulfador. If he doesn't interact with us, we were thinking of a couple different things that we could do here, but it turns out just the best one was just to synchro into Ella Skeletus, which is what we ended up doing. We get Ella Skeletus to add back. He thinks it targets, it does not. And then we use that to add back the Smire just to keep our names going. Is there anything that you thought we did differently here or should have done differently?
I think just a couple steps back when he activated Futsu to special back, I think we should have changed Tristaros. We're just E-Telly a guy from deck, and I'm pretty sure we had at least 3 left, so we could afford to take one out of the deck and make like just get it like our free 5 to make our 7, so that way we still have our other 2 5s next to it on the field.
Yeah. We don't have 3 left in deck. We only have 2 right now. So using the Ella Skeletus here.
Yeah, it does turn off the Tristaros. So then I guess no, it's fine. Yeah, nothing we can do.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about that in the situation. One thing we decided to do in the next game after this is we decided to change our side pattern a little bit and leave in the Fistvern, I think, going second from now on, just because it keeps the amount of names you have in deck. So if we did the same situation, when we added a Sulfador, we could have just added like a Fistvern and then discarded that. That way we had more names to actually play with. And then we could have done the play that Julien was talking about, which would have been a lot better for us. We basically would get the Ella Skeletos in circulation, and we'd be able to extend further without having to use the Tristaros effect. All right. Next thing we do is we use the Tristaros effect. We pop our Ella Skeletos. He chains the Murakumo. We just discard the Smiger that we had back. We don't really need him anymore. We summon 2 guys here, and we go Ella Skeletos effect to special back the Tristaros. And then we do a play that we thought was really smart. We go ahead and just make a Dawn Dragster to go ahead and counter these. The prayers didn't really do too much for him. It didn't like cause any disruptions for us. The main thing we were worried about was the Magatama. And so we were thinking if we can get here, make the Infinity to eat the Murakumo and then just run over the field, we'd be in a really good spot actually, because we'd have Droplet, Imperm, Infinity, and Dawn Dragster, which would probably get 2 negates because he'd use 1 here on his turn and 1 on our turn. And then when we make the Noble, we just get nibbed, and that's just it. There was nothing we could do there.
Yeah, half his field just comes, or his whole field comes back because nothing's been tributed yet. So for the next game, still the same match. It's game 3. We open pretty nice again. First of all, Tristaros is in our hand as always, and then we have Jokul plus a Widow Sulfador. So that's like what you want to see in this deck. That's like what we built the deck for. So we go to the main phase. He has nothing for us. We activate. We normal summon Tristaros, then we act because obviously like if he hand traps us, then we just get to slap a body on the field, make rank 7, synchro 7, and that's great. So we activate Inclusion, and then we go to get Sulfador. That way, like I said, we can go for Joko plus Guy, and we do that exactly. And this way, we get Sofador number 2 names. That way, we get access to everything again. And he's thinking here. As you can see, he has Izuna and Lupus. Unfortunately, he drew the Lupus. And I'm pretty sure because he has Lancia, this is where he activates Izuna. Because pretty much he's going to try to remove our Joko from the field. And then Lancia is to turn off the Crystal engine. That's exactly what he does. He tries to bait us, dumb Joko, as he should. It's a good play. And then he makes Valon, books us, and then activates Lancia so that we can't use our Crystron engine. And now I'm pretty sure we chain Tristaros.
Yeah.
Summon a 5.
We decided to change Tristaros here because with this Lancia, it's turning off a lot of our resources right now. It's not only turning off like both of the names in our graveyard, but it's turning off any sort of like weird synchro extension. Like if we just don't activate Tristaros and we try to synchro summon to Ellis Geltus, that doesn't really get us anywhere. We can add back a name, but all we can do at that point is like Solfador special back. That doesn't really get us anywhere. So we decided it's
Yeah,
the time to
I
Tristaros
remember
now.
now.
That way we can
Yeah,
get
this was a
the
crazy line.
Souvenir in rotation. Yeah, Julien thought of this line.
Yeah. We summon the Souvenir, and then we make Skeletos, add back any name, it doesn't matter, except for Souvenir, obviously. And then we Souvenir, discard Tristaros, summon it. Or we check their hand first, sorry. We have talents, obviously. We're going to look. Because we know we have full combo now. We know we have full combo. So we see prayers, we put back the prayers. And then we summon this guy back, pop the set monster. That way we are able to search for a lantern and lantern summon it back. So, now we get everything. We get Lantern, we get Quick Play Spell because they activated a bunch of monsters from the hand. We get Lantern, summon back the guy. Joko, add Izuna. Then we add Case. We go into Nesh Knight, suck up this guy. And then here, very important, because we sucked up the Valon, it's really important to not detach it until we use Liberation. And it would be more important to remember that in like a more complicated game state. This is a game that we've like pretty much already won, right? Because he's on top deck plus this. Like he can't out our board. Even if he draws a ritual monster, like that's still not outing our board because he can't get like enough resources with everything. Yeah, so continuing from here, we have Case. We add another Izuna. That way we can Izuna on this turn and then Izuna on his turn as well. Because Mitsurugi plays into this really hard. Summon this, make Valon, and then pass. Like our board's insane. If he starts literally like ritual spell summon guy, we can book it, and then we can negate other stuff. We can suck it up even. Actually, that's probably better. So yeah, we're in a great spot.
Yeah, there really just isn't anything he can top deck in his deck. It stinks that he drew the Lupus, but to be honest, the fact that we played through Lancia, which was like a crazy floodgate for us, and through Izuna on its own was like really powerful. And then having the talents on top of that we can use to like try to mitigate any sort of interaction to have is just game sealing. He tries to prank us here. He activates that ritual. We go, okay, that's fine. And then he goes ahead and admits defeat. Really nothing he can do there. That was it for the first match. Let's take the next one.
All right, so on to the second match of the Ironman. We're playing against, the same team. So we're still on Christian K9 because we won. And we win die roll. So we go first. So if we look at our hand first, our hand is pretty nice. We again have chaotic elements plus inclusion. So we have a way to our Joko plus Solvador line. And now we have Azuna if they have hand traps. And like I said before, Tristaros is in our hand again. So we have a way to play through hand traps pretty well. However, you look at our opponent's hand, they opened the nuts. They have Ash Blossom, and it's not their only fire, so they can Holy Sue us with with Holy Sue, Raisin, Mad Love, and they can Izuna us as well. So they have a pretty good hand, I would say. It's probably like the best that deck could open.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could make it slightly better is if instead of like Mad Love, it was Border. I think that's literally the only thing that could change.
Yeah. Mad Love instead of Border instead of Mad Love. Yeah,
ridiculous hand. One thing here is that we did assume they were actually on the same deck because they were playing 41 cards again, which we thought was a little bit interesting. So we were under the assumption that it's this kind of same deck.
Yeah, which to be fair, in an Ironman setting, I do think that people will just play the same deck count for both decks because if you play different deck counts, then all of a sudden, people will know exactly what deck you're bringing to the first match. So Yeah, so we start Sustaros just so that if they hand trap us, we can special summon from deck. And then we go inclusion. You think about this one. We let that one go, so we get our Sofador. Then we go chaotic elements and they ash. So here we're like, okay, it's kind of tough, but we do have Azuna, so we're still feeling great. We don't activate Tristaros because we've seen them play Nib in their other lists, so we think they could still be playing Nib, and we want to play around that. So if we go Azuna, Lupus, Ripper, that's summon 4. If we do the Tristaros stuff, it puts us into Nib range before them, so we don't really want to do that yet. So now we go Azuna, Azuna dump Lupus, summon back Lupus, and then on res they think, and we're like, okay, they probably have Azuna, and then we see this, we're like, okay, it's not Azuna. So summon Holy Sue, summon from deck, summon Raisin, Raisin pop Lupus, or search first, search for Caesar, so they have both pops. Pop Lupus. And then now we change to Staros, because now if they have Nib, like they have Nib. Like what are we gonna do about it? And from here we can keep playing. However, so we can keep playing through what's known. They have one unknown left, but like as long as it's not Nib or Azuna, we're fine. So they go summon Caesar. We try to think of the best way to play through this and the most forcing way. And I think we chose Nash Knight, if I'm correct.
Well, it was Solfener pitched the Tristalos from our hand, and then we had the option of destroying the inclusion. If we destroyed the inclusion and they had Nib, it was pretty bad for us. So we decided to destroy itself to get the Solfador in rotation without having to use the one from our hand if we had to. And then we get the Solfador effect this way because we haven't used the effect to dump yet. With that, we decided to dump the inclusion and Thistvern here. We technically could have dumped Smyger as well. Smyger doesn't get us a whole lot, but technically it's just one more add.
Yeah, the thing is that we already have cluster in hand, and we want to be able to we want to be able to get the other 5 on our board without machine locking ourselves, because Solfador will machine lock us if we use it to pop the inclusion. So that way, by already having inclusion in hand, if you know, we're trying to think of like how to force this Caesar. And one way we were thinking, and this is what we end up doing right here, is that we make SP. And then that way, if they Caesar pop the SP, right, with the disruption that our opponent has, we have to put them on misplay a little bit for us to be able to get to Ripper. And we're thinking, okay, if they pop the SP, then we reborn without being machine locked, make Ripper, and keep going from there. So here, when he popped SP by revealing the 3, we actually felt pretty good. We're like, okay, 1 card left, like we just keep tromboing if it's not too bad. However, we summon back, we're going to overlay, and then we're like, okay, it's Azuna.
Well, at first we thought it was Nib, and we're like, okay, if we get Nibbed, at least we can still loop around and make like an infinity, maybe suck it up. And then it got so much worse when they activated Azuna.
Go Azuna, summon XYZ, make Valon, Pokemoon. And so like the thing here is that we can still combo like in terms of like Krishan stuff. The only issue is that they already have so much set up. So we know that their hand plays through disruption already really well. So just setting up Krishan combo is not great, but unfortunately that's all we can do. So that's what we do from here. We activate Solfador, we pop the inclusion because that's like free. And then we overlay, we end on, the infinity, the trap, but 1 negate plus the trap honestly just doesn't do it because Valon checks that already. But again, it's not like we had any other options in our extra deck. This is all we can finish on. So yeah, this game's pretty rough. We go to negate it, and then we chain the trap because when Valon dies, it will be able to pop a set. So we have to flip our trap over without using the effect. From here, the game plan is simple: is hold the trap for as long as possible because we know we're in the losing spot. It's an Ironman though, so we're not gonna admit defeat until it's like game over. And as long as we keep our 1 disruption live, it might cause them to make a mistake to try to play around the disruption. But unfortunately, you can see their hand; they have so much. So they go, they add infinite cards to their hand. They have literally their whole engine. Then here, they summon Jialong, they make Ripper, and we're like, okay, at least we can keep him off K9. Then they activate Liberation, or it's called Release now. And yeah, so I think it's at this point that we scoop because yeah, there's just no point in playing this one out.
Yeah, no point in
So
playing it out at all. Like to be honest, once you get to a situation versus Vanquish Soul when they have like their full engine and you're passing back to them with like a couple disruptions, it's over. That it just plays through disruptions really, really well. The good thing is that we're going first now, and if you look at our hand is Izuna, Chaotic Elements, and Inclusion, which I don't know if you guys notice it. That's like the same like 3-card combo that you would like want to open every single game. So we just opened it again because our deck is broken. We start off, we search for Jokul here,
no
and then
Tristaros, by
yeah,
the
no
way, this time.
Tristaros, no Tristaros. We sided him out probably, so I didn't draw. No, we just play one Tristaros. That's why I didn't draw him here. But the hand is still phenomenal. We don't really need too much else to like successfully win this game. We get the Jokul to summon Sofador effect. Go ahead and dump 2 names here, and then we can use Jokul to go ahead and search for Nizuna here. Technically, this plays into Droll by using the Jokul search first, but we started off with Chaotic Element, so they're not going to Droll us. If you start with Jokul and Sulfador as like your 2 engine cards and there's nothing else there, you actually aren't supposed to activate your Jokul effect here. You're supposed to hold it until you revive it with Lantern. That way you can play around Droll a little bit better. But in this situation, it didn't matter. We overlay here. We make Ripper detach the Jokul to search for another Jokul because we have every possible K9 card in our deck. We special back with Lantern, then we use that to add Case of K9. We go ahead and overlay those now to make our Stormer, and this is where I proceed to look through the spreadsheet that Yasin and I worked on because these combos are kind of difficult, and I was trying to see if there was like a different way that we could contort this combo to try to end with like a rank 5 instead. But after discussing with Julien here, we just decided that our premeditated combo is always going to be better than what we can come up with in the moment. That's why spreadsheets are really good, is because they have more time and thought into the combo itself than what you'd be able to actually think through in person in an event. Because there's probably 15, 20 minutes of thinking of just like sequencing for one specific combo that you've thought of previously, whether it's through a spreadsheet or you thought of it beforehand on your own and you just know what you're going to do. That combo that you thought fully through is probably going to be a better play than you just like chaotically thinking of something on the spot and doing it there. So we decided to stick with the mainline play, which is go here, we get Scrap Recycler, dump, we go Smiger, add, and then we can get the Thistfern to go ahead and add back. From deck, we're going to add a Sulfador, and then we can continue
One
to
thing to
extend.
note,
Mhm.
one thing to note is that so this scrap recycler play that we did, it was pretty much make that, and that's going to lead into an SP or have a rank 5. Now the thing is that in our extra deck, the amount of good rank 5s we play like falls off really fast. And the best one is the Nash Knight, just because it's a non-targeting, absorption removal. And if we had made that on our turn, then on their turn we can't make that with Lupus Azuna, and we know their deck plays into it anyways. So we might as well make it SP. Which if they have a board breaker, then at least we don't lose our Nash Knight to the board breaking, right? We have that as a layered disruption rather than having to put it on the board now and not being able to use it later.
Exactly. Then we go through, we go to our link 1, use our effects. I'm just going to fast forward through this, guys. You guys should know the basic combos by now for the deck. And then we go Sulfador summon back, make our Skeletus, add back, get like infinite follow-up. It's the cool thing with the deck is you just get so many like cards put back in rotation that it's just like impossible to like fully break their board. Right here, we overlay 2 guys, make a Nova. He activates Nibiru here. Nothing to worry about. We just activate Ripper, negate it. If he did have an Imperm here, that's another good thing about having the SP is we can technically SP target a Ripper. Yes, if they do go Imperm target Ripper beforehand, then that technically plays around it. But we still have so many resources if that does happen. Not to mention they play into things like Imperm, Thrust, which they've already seen in our deck list, But the
One big
SP...
thing. Sorry, just one big thing. That thing to activate Imperm first is really important. Like if you have those 2 cards, do not make that mistake. Even like with the SP, it's very obvious. But let's say that they don't have the SP, you get punished so hard by them hard opening K9 X Force release, and there is no punish to activating the Imperm first. Like there's literally no downside at all. So if you're ever in a spot where you have Imperm Nib in these scenarios against Ripper, you should always Imperm, let it resolve, and then Nib.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, in this situation here, it didn't really matter because they didn't have anything else, but he's exactly right. If you do have Imperm Nib, go ahead and just play around their K9 card. You know it's going to be in their deck anyways. But that resolves. We make Infinity. We go activate the effective Inclusion, and then we special summon back our Skeletus. That way our cluster actually has 2 pops with it. We're going to set our cards here. So this is the main 2-card combo, and pretty much all of the combos are going to end with the same thing. The only difference is like the amount of follow-up you get. But we ended with a Ripper on our field, which is going to be upgraded by K9 release. We have the Skeletus, which is going to force our cluster to be 2 pops. We have Tristaros, which is going to be able to summon from deck and then synchro that way. In this situation, we use a lot of the 5s that we had in the decks. We actually need to use the cluster first. That way we can put back a 5. That way this can go into like a Dawn Dragster. Create a negate that way. Then we have the Infinity, we have SP, and we have Azuna. It's like infinite disruptions. They're never going to be able to break this board. They didn't really try too hard, honestly. They activated Rhoda, searched for Raisin, and then we activated K9 Release here. I did want to talk about why we activated this release. The reason that we activated this here is because if they did have Holy Sue in their hand, and they needed to search for another like Vanquish Soul card to reveal, or if they had a Vanquish Soul card to reveal and they were looking to add Holy Sue, then we want to use this here to special summon our Werewolf to pop the Raisin. And then when they do use the effect of Holy Sue, then we can chain and just rip it out of their hand. So that's like one cool thing that is important to note as to like your sequencing with your K9 cards. But I think as soon as we do that, they just immediately admit defeat.
Yeah, and one thing too is I don't think we mentioned why we added Lupus. Like at some point we added Lupus. We had every other name in hand, and that way by adding Lupus we just play around called by, or DD Crow, stuff like that, just randomly, just in case. We have every other K9 card in our hand. It doesn't hurt for us to just add Lupus instead.
Yeah, again, it's just like more layered stuff. Things like that are why players win situations, just by proactively thinking about disruption things that could happen. We go to game 3 here. Our hand is pretty solid. We have like the classic 4-card combo that we built in every game. Yeah, it feels like my hand is like Chandra plus like 4 board breakers. That's how broken our hands have been, because it's like the same thing every time. But it's Jokul, access to Solfador, Tristaros, Izuna, and Imperm. The only problem here is that their hand is also like ridiculously broken. Opening Jokul plus a 5, as well as like a Vanquish Soul combo with an attribute, plays through almost as many hand traps as the Christian deck does. I will say that the Vanquish Soul cards usually aren't as good at breaking boards, and we give it a very, very solid attempt at breaking a board here with Christian, but it's just not enough. I'm going to fast forward this part a little bit here. Once I get this disruption out of the way, they go Jokul to special the Lupus from their hand and use the effect of Jokul to add. Couple different things that we thought about here. We could Izuna. If we do Izuna, it's going to cut us off of the Imperm because we're going to have cards in our field. We can't do that. If we decide to fully just wait, we can't actually Imperm the Ripper because they're going to have a Lupus underneath it. So it's really unfortunate that they drew that one for us in this situation. Lupus actually ends up being really, really good. So we decide the best course of action here is to just Imperm their Jokul, use our Izuna special out, and then make a Xyz monster now. And that way, as soon as they summon their Ripper, we can just eat it. Or if they make a Nash Knight, we're kind of in just like a staring contest, and it puts them on having another engine card in their hand to play. But also, it has to be like a really good engine that gets them to like the full combo of everything. Because if they don't full combo us, then the remaining like cards in our hand are going to be really good at breaking the board. So that's what we do. We Imperm the Jokul, we go Izuna, special out, dump a Lupus. Lupus summons back, and then we go ahead and overlay those immediately. We go into a Nash Knight. They decide to overlay into a second Nash Knight, and we have that staring contest I talked about, and they normal Mad Love. And we're thinking like, oh, this is like not the best situation for us. But I think it's a lot worse because the 2-card combo, specifically Mad Love and Xiaolong, which means they can get back to their Vanquish Soul or their K9 cards. So I'm just going to let it play here, show off kind of what they do as far as disruptions. Their main thing is that they're just kind of going through everything. They're going to get to absolutely every disruption in their deck here because of it. They're going to pop our Nash Knight. One thing here that I didn't do is I actually chose not to activate the Nash Knight effect because I know if I activate Nash Knight effect, they're 100% going to use their Nash Knight to eat my Nash Knight to try to blank the effect. And if they do that, it detaches the Lupus. Technically, putting that Lupus back in the graveyard is going to enable one more body of extension for them. Which they can still do. If they play perfectly, they're just going to use the Nash Knight, detach the Lupus, and then be able to special the Lupus back. Because they can just do that at any point during that turn anyways. But I wanted to give them the option to misplay. Doesn't really matter. They see it. They don't misplay here. We actually have a really good game. They go border draw. They draw into Lantern. And at this point, we know pretty much their entire hand except for the Quick Play spell. But whenever they use the Ripper to add the Izuna and they don't set it, we pretty much know everything at this point in time.
This part is funny.
Yeah, this part's funny here. He accidentally, or doesn't accidentally, he eats his rock. I don't know why he ended up doing that. If he thought he was going to like Paradise Smash us, and that's why he wanted to do it, because he wanted to like kind of clear up the zones, or if maybe he thought that the Nash Knight had to eat something. But anyways, he ate his own rock for fun, and then he proceeds to like just full combo extend here.
He probably forgot that Lantern also locked out of lights, and so he was gonna Paradise Smash us, and then realizes that you can't make that.
yeah, that's probably what happened, honestly. But they make the Imperial Princess Conquery. This is something that if you guys got the Vanquish Soul spreadsheet, you'll see a lot of plays through hand traps actually do this, just because it leaves you with enough Vanquish Soul names to set the trap from deck. And so, honestly, this is like a really, really powerful board. This is the full board that they can get to. They have Snow Devil, they have the Quick Play spell. We know every card in their hand. We know that they have a Light, a Dark, and Earth, and one of the Earths is Azuna. They got Ripper, they got Umbral Horror. Like, it's the full board here. And honestly, I thought we were just going to lose and we'd be on to the next match. And I'll be real, a little bit of spoilers, we are going to lose the game. But we gave it a very, very honest try, and I think there's some very key things to take away here if you're just trying to learn about the format. Main thing here is that we need to sequence our cards to get hit by this number 104 Umbral card as minimal as possible, as well as Werewolf. Like, we actually don't get hurt by the hand rip from either one of those cards throughout this entire turn because of how well we sequenced it. We start off by activating the Inclusion to get a level 5 in our hand, which is going to be really good going into the board. And the first thing we do is we activate Jokel here. The reason that we activated Jokel is because if they go Ripper effect here, then we can Talents to take their Umbral Horror Masquerade, which means that we get to use that negate effectively for us. And that's going to mess up the attributes in their hand as well as progressively push towards their board and cut their life in half. If we can cut their life in half going second, there's a very good chance at that point in time that we may be able to actually finish them off and kill them. So we try to get them to play into Talents here. When we activate the Jokel, reveal Soulful Door, they actually don't flinch at all, which is totally fine. The next thing that we're thinking here is we need to get all of these cards out of our hand, and so we don't get hurt by the 104. So the next thing we do is we decide to normal summon the Tristaros after thinking for a while, and then set the Triple Tactics talent. And this talent here, it does expose us a little bit to the Canine Force release because they can pop it, but we think of this interaction ahead of time where if we can try to get them to pop our Tristaros by activating it in response to something when we try to extend onto the field, they may pop our Tristaros, and then we can Talents take at that point in time. The next thing we do here, one thing I forgot to mention is we never activated the effect of Sulfador here to play around that 104 Masquerade. Now, what were you saying, Julien?
I was going to say, I just realized they kind of misplayed because if they just went Trap, Chain Liberation, pop like one of the two. Oh, wait, no. No, I'm stupid.
Okay.
Edit that out.
I'm not editing it out. It's leaving it in. Okay.
Oh, no.
We didn't activate the Sulfador effect. The reason we didn't use Sulfador is because it becomes another line of play later, but we also didn't want to play into the C104. So we get here. From here, he thinks for a while, and then we decide to use the effect of Jokel here. Jokel gets us access to Lantern, and then we decided that now is the time to kind of play into the 104 and the Ripper and try to force those out. We activate the Lantern here, targeting the Azuna, and we think if he did activate Snow Devil here, he'd have to destroy our Ripper, which means our Sulfador would go to graveyard, and then our Sulfador could pop our Inclusion. We can keep playing that way. So that's what our thought is here. He decides to interact with our Lantern now by just using the Ripper, which is really good for us. And this is where that interaction came up of us trying to use the Tristaros to force out this Canine Force release. That way we can use our talents here. If we don't use the Tristaros here, I'm like 90% sure that he's just going to activate it anyways. And there's a better chance that if he activates it, he's going to pop our talents. And we really wanted that talents to stick. Unfortunately, he activates it here. We think he falls for the bait. He specials out the Werewolf, and then he just decides to pop our talents anyways.
Yeah, so, I was feeling pretty good until he did that.
Yeah. Anyways, we summon the Sulfador here, or the Soul Fafnir. The reason we summon Soul Fafnir, it's kind of that same play that we saw from the earlier line where we got Lancia, where we're trying to use Ella Skeletus to add back Tristaros. That way we can Soul Fafnir, discard the Tristaros, and pop something else to get more extension out of it. So that's the play we do. We then get the Ella Skeletus negated by the Horror Masquerade, which is going to rip our Lantern from our hand. And then I didn't try to take life points because I wanted to cheat. But anyways, remember, we take 4,000. He activates Borgar at this point to draw, and he draws into Mad Love. Nothing that helps him at all. We decide that the next course of action here, and I think this is actually a really, really cool play. I think most people wouldn't see this, but our opponents they're obviously very good players. We decided to go into Valon. And the reason that we went to Valon is because Valon's going to check this Holy Sue by basically booking it face down. And if we can get that taken out of there, the only disruptions he has at that point is the trap and then Azuna from hand. So if we can check that, that's going to be the best thing. Valon checks the Holy Sue, but also if we link off our Ella Skeletus and our Valon, then we can go to an SP. We can go Valon effect target the set card, and then SP to banish like their field spell or any other monster that we're kind of scared of at that point in time. And that's going to clear pretty much everything. As long as that SP sticks on the field, we'll be able to SP counter the Azuna and Lupus effect to Xyz. And then we have a ton of extension of our own because we have our own Lupus in the graveyard. We also have the Sulfador. As soon as we are able to detach it for Valon, we'll be able to expend by popping our Inclusion here. He does the perfect counter. We go book the Holly Sue. He goes chain the Holly Sue, revealing a Earth in a Dark to go ahead and take. That takes our Valon, and then he uses the Valon effect to go ahead and set our Ella Skeletus. A little bit sad for us. We did think it through, but it was just the best option here. We had to put our opponent on kind of misplay. We can still play though. We go Sulfador effect. At this point, we can mill 2 because we didn't use the Sulfador effect earlier. And that's just going to let us kind of extend as much as we want and get as many cards in our hand as possible. We use the effect here. We went a little bit fast, but we used the effect of Sulfafnir to special back discarding. And with that special summon back, we popped our Ella Skeletus. Apparently, since it says that this Synchro Summon card is destroyed by Battle or card effect, it still triggers even if it's set face down. The difference here is that it remembers how it was summoned. It remembers that it was Synchro Summoned, but not where it was summoned from. So it's a Synchro Summon monster that doesn't know it came from the extra deck, so I don't know how confused it is, but that is just how it works here. The next thing we did with those 2 bodies, because we got to use that to special back Tristaros, is we made Dawn Dragster. The reason we made Dawn Dragster is because that's going to check this Snow Devil completely. Like, he can't even use this anymore to try to, like, disrupt us, because we're just going to negate it with Dawn Dragster. And then we thought that we'd do, like, a cool play in the battle phase, where we would, like, destroy this Valon, and Valon would destroy the Snow Devil. That way we would just fully check it here. What ended up happening is we use the inclusion to special back our Ella Skeletus. We use the Smiger to go ahead and add here. And here I think we did mess up when siding. We actually sided out our trap card, our cluster. Do you think we're going to keep doing that in the future, Julian, or do you think we should leave that
in? I mean, obviously we got punished there. I don't know if having that difference, having that actually like allows us to win this game. I do think we did mess up here because I know that the following step we take, we should have just gone battle phase for sure instead of just doing what we do next. I think.
Yeah. If we go battle phase here, then because of the attack change with Ella Skeletus, we're actually able to attack over a lot more monsters. We decided to go for Tristaros play here because we wanted to get to Infinity for some reason. So you get to Nova, get to Infinity, then we use that to eat something. But the stat change from Ella Skeletus would have just made battle phase a little bit earlier better.
Yeah, mattered way more for sure.
So if we did that, then we'd have Ella Skeletus, which could attack over the Conquery. Our Dragster could attack over the Valon. Then Valon would trigger to pop his... We'd probably still pop the set, and then our other random monster could just attack over the Holly Sue. We'd leave him with just Border. We could go main phase 2 and then use that to eat the werewolf, and then the Umbral Horror is going to die in the end phase. So we'd basically just be leaving with a Border here. What ends up happening is we do the Infinity play, and then from here we go battle phase. And everything on this field is just huge. The only thing we can attack over with our full field, basically like a boss monsters, is we can attack over one Valon. And then because he has so many guys, we have to use the Valon to pop the Holy Sue, which is not the best for us. Anyways, we attempt to leave main phase. He chooses to activate Lupus here for some reason, just to summon it on the field, which was not the best idea. We use Infinity. He chains the Azuna. That way he can continue to get resources. He summons up the Azuna. Because of that, we can actually use our Lupus now. He didn't use a hand effect in the grave or an effect in the hand or grave the entire turn. So our Lupus wasn't live until this point. We get to use the Lupus now to go ahead and special out. And because we already have another 5-1 field in Sulfanar, then we can actually have one other disruption. But it doesn't really matter. I'll be totally honest. This field is just, there's not enough that we can break on it.
I will say, I think if we had actually, like, 2 things that were in our control. First, when we went to battle phase was a mistake. We should have gone to battle phase like 1 step earlier. And second, if we kept in the trap, then we for sure would have had a much better chance. Like if we did both those things, we actually might win this game. This game is more winnable. Not necessarily winnable because they have a lot set up still, but it's more winnable for sure.
Yeah, I think if we had done all of that correctly, we would have had all of our disruptions been way more effective. Although 3 disruptions into like a very, very already established Vanquish Soul board and follow-up, I don't know if we'll do it.
I don't think it's enough, but...
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just going to let this play here. The only Xyz we could really make is Ripper here. We went through our Nash Knight on their turn 1, went through the Valon on our turn, so all that's left is Ripper. We make that here, and it just doesn't even really do anything. They just proceed to try to full combo us. And at some point, after they get to like Holy Sue to take, doesn't matter. They would technically take the Ripper here because this is more attack. But they're just going to Snow Devil us. Their monsters are going to stay on the field. Ours are going to be destroyed, and we have like no life points, so it just doesn't matter. We're just dead. Let's move on to the next game.
So now that Cycle lost, your boy had to put him in the backpack. So, I get in there. Little spoiler alert. I'm a big Dormouse fan, so I'm playing Malice. And we do lose a Dyrel, which is pretty scary. against Vanquishal K9 as a mouse player, just because their board is really hard to break. Fortunately, our hand is Rabbit, Nib, Impulse, Underground, Druid Swarm. So that's pretty good. It's not the best combination of hand traps against Vanquishal, just because your Nib's not gonna have that much value without an Imperm, and you can't Impulse before you Nib. And also, Druid's Nib is not like that great a combo. Your opponent really has to misplay. Like if you Druid's their Lantern target and then negate it with Ripper, and you're like, okay, I'm in there. You can Nib whenever. So we're not feeling that great about this, but obviously they could still play into the Nib. In the previous replays, we saw them play into Nib pretty hard. So we're like, this card could get a lot of value.
Absolutely.
And then
one thing that I wanted to look at here is that they go for a crazy combo here. It was really, really interesting, to say the least. So I wanted to kind of look over their hand together and see if there was a better line to do it. This hand is almost as good as the hand that they had against me when we were going first. Except they had the go first version of it. What do you think about them doing the combo they did with this being their hand?
There's just no way. There's no way that's what we did. Just let it play and we'll go over it. Like, there's just no way. Their hand's insane. Their hand has everything through every hand trap. Right? They go normal summon Raisin. We're like, okay, that's not great. Like, hopefully, I'm literally like, hopefully they have no K9 cards. Like, literally, at that point, Impulse beats the trap. Like, if they don't force the K9 cards, like, we win.
Hey, do you think that they looked at their hand and they go, "Ooh, I'm playing Vanquish, so go Raisin," even though that wasn't the right play? I think.
Yeah, it was definitely Joku summon like Azuna, right? Yeah, get back to another Azuna later, anyways.
Yeah, probably Jokul send Azuna. Or I think it's probably Jokul summon Azuna, use Azuna to send Lupus, and then use Lantern to revive Lupus, make Ripper summon 5 untargetable. I think that's probably what you do.
Yeah, that's definitely the best play. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
And that plays around literally every hand trap that's in our hand as well.
Yeah,
because it's just probably the best line of play. But anyways, they follow up like this. I'll let Julien take lead.
Yeah, so they normal summon Raisin, add Sue. We're like, okay, not great. Then from here, they make Rock, add back the fire to their hand. So at least from there, I'm like, okay, they probably don't have another fire, but they could still. Then they go Sue special, summon Jalong because they want the other 5. So I'm like, okay. But then they revealed Joku, right? So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, oh yeah, they summoned Mad Love, sorry. I'm like, okay. So they revealed Joku and they summoned Mad Love. So now they're playing into Nib crazy, right? They probably don't have another 5 in hand, at least from like what we are seeing. That's what I'm thinking. And they're gonna go Field Spell, add Jalong, and then after that, they summon Joku, summon Jalong. So they continue from here, right? They go add Field Spell, activate Field Spell, target Mad Love, Jalong, and then this is where they confuse me a little bit. They went Mad Love effective bounce itself, and then because you revealed, you get to summon the Jalong, and then they reveal Azuna. So I'm like, wait, this line is crazy. I'm already lost in the sauce, right? I have no idea what they're doing. So they summon Azuna, they summon Jalong here, right?
Bro,
all right.
Who are these watchers, bro?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. So they summon Jalong, and then we think you're really hard, right? Because we could nib. But if we nib, like, we know they play through it infinite. It doesn't matter that we have Druid Swarm, doesn't matter that we have Impulse, those cards don't do anything. So the only thing we can do, the only thing we can think of is, like, we just gotta sit back, let them misplay. Hopefully, when they go Lantern and we chain Druid Swarm, they negate, we nib. That's the only way we can win. And here they hit us with the sauce.
Here we find another way to win, okay?
Yeah, they hit us with the sauce. They go, end of main phase. And I'm like, okay, sure. So now, okay, Nib's dead. Whatever. We didn't need to use it. So this line's crazy. Now, keep in mind the known cards for us. We know Raisin, Izuna, Madlove, Joku. So there's 2 unknowns. Another thing that we know is that out of those 2 unknowns, there's no fires because they didn't Xiaolong search. So we know they don't have Ash Blossom. That's really important, right? And then, yeah, we also know that they're doing a crazy line.
Yeah, a crazy line. I did want to talk about why they were probably doing this crazy line here. This is the first round of the tournament. They don't know what deck we're playing. End of main phase is not just a check for Nib anymore. It's also a check for Holisu, as well as a check for Izuna. So they may have been thinking that we were playing like a mirror match here, and they decided that this was the safest play, because if it was a mirror match, then even if we chose not to activate our cards, it's just like super super impactful of a board into the mirror match. Unfortunately for them, we have the Malice Goat, and so Julian just destroys them.
Okay, so here we top deck Imperm. Imperm's amazing. Again, we know most of their hand. We know there's no second fire. So we were considering between Imperming Rock and Imperming Sue. However, we know that like Sue and Rock do the same thing, except that Rock actually takes the attribute out of their hand, whereas Sue just puts it on the field from the deck. So we Imperm the Sue. And then if they chain, then at least first of all they might be scared of talents, and at least they have to pick their raising column now, and we don't have to play into it at all for the most part.
Yeah, and the other thing is like if we
Yeah,
imprint this, it like guarantees that they can't like hold the
they
Holly Seal
cannot
for like
take
a
control.
take
Yeah.
effect. Yeah.
The take effect against mouse is really scary. So here we have two options, right? We can lead rabbit or we can lead underground. If I'm going first, I'm leading underground every day of the week, right? But into known disruption, there's no way I'm leading underground when rabbit can literally like jump around. It's literally a rabbit. It sets MTP, and then they try to like mess with the rabbit. The rabbit goes, nah, I'm out. I'm out. Get me the hair. Like I'm out. Come back. Like it's all good. So we normal summon rabbit. We set MTP.
Berkeley brain.
Um,
It's a rabbit that jumps.
Brand like Berkeley, baby. So yeah, and then here I'm trying to check for a flinch, which they do. They go rock special, and then okay. So rule number one of Malice versus Vanquish Soul is you save impulse for the trap. However, if we impulse here, we know from what we know they have no way of getting another fire on the board, or sorry, to get the raisin on the board other than by activating the trap. And our next play here would obviously just be make Lingeribo, right? Which checks the trap. So by impulsing the rock, we force them to activate trap now, other than them being able to, use the trap later. So we just let them do all this now. Chain MTP, that way our guy doesn't get popped. Like their trap gets no value other than the fact that it protects their guys. And the rock still dies. They summon the raisin. They search for Caesar. So again, they search for Caesar. Now we know they have Caesar. So we pretty much know there's no disruption in their hand other than if they have Nib. So Nib is like the only thing on our mind. We know about Izuna, but we also know that we don't have to play into Izuna for a little bit.
Well, we do know they have one disruption, right? We know they have the Caesar bounce back of fire to reveal and pop.
Yeah. But we also know they have to bounce back of fire. So we think about this one really hard. And then we kind of forgot. We all like stopped thinking like mouse players for a second. We forgot that if we just make a link one, they might just they might bite because they're scared of backup. So we think about this for a while. Then we summon the European, the Link Disciple, and then here they fall for the bait. They summon Caesar, and they pop it because they're scared of backup. And we have the biggest punish, which is just the field spell. And the field spell plays through this crazy without having to play into Azuna, which is like the best thing for us. So we activated, we summoned Dormouse, Banish Cat, which is amazing because we have hair in hand. So we just get to draw for free. We draw into Ash. Now, Ash is really good on a first glance because it stops Azuna. I was a little bit worried that since they had two unknowns that we hadn't seen, one of them might be Lupus just because of like how everything they played. But regardless, I mean, we would Ash the Azuna no matter what. So then here we make Wicked just the best way for us to kind of compact our board. Like we have to go through a link too, and we have Druid Swarm in hand, so we don't want to lock ourselves into Cybers. And yeah, so that way we just keep the Druid Swarm in hand. It's always live, and then choosing between March Hare and Druid Swarm, we have to use March Hare because that's our only Malice body that's going to be in rotation. And so if we use Druid Swarm, then we, no matter what, have to use an extender after that. So we'd be kind of putting too much on the board at once. So yeah, so we activate all these effects, we get backup. Now we have a way to a link 3. But since they didn't do anything, we're like, you know what? We're going to apply more pressure now. Now we're going to use the Druid Swarm. We're going to use the backup. And if they have Nib, then we still have, Wizard, and then even the hair for next turn, which is really strong. So we summon we summon backup, send our Nib because we're impulse locked, summon Cryptor, and as long as Cryptor's on the board, we're now fully checked Izuna. Even if they already have Lupus in hand, Izuna's fully checked because we can just banish the Lupus when it activates its effects. And we send the Caesar. with the Jerusalem just because it's the highest attack monster, and we're gonna go for game here. Obviously, we know that their hand has infinite pushes. We need to finish the game off this turn. So summon the Binder, banish Cryptor, just the best way for us to keep all our stuff in rotation. Banish their stuff too.
Yeah, we also banished the Caesar here as well as their trap. Was there a certain reason that we banished their trap? I kind of missed that.
No, I just didn't have anything to target for the third card, so I just banished their card.
That's fair.
There was no.
I like Shifter, and if they activate Shifter, then I'm kind of happy. So that's probably fair.
Yeah, I'm down. We'll play under Shifter. I'm playing Mouse, but that's cool with me. So, another thing is like right here, we're safe from Nib again. Just because if they nib us, we can go chain Cryptor, banish Binder because Binder's still live, and then summon Binder back, and then we still have a way to access code just at least out their field spell and their nib, and then again on their turn we have March Hare into Binder into Cryptor.
We also have like Ash plus the MTPs, like it was just infinite. They'll have to play through.
Yeah, we actually are able to set up a lot, and by this point they probably they would have nibbed us already if they had it, but it's always good to keep in mind just if you don't need to lose to it, like why would you? So we keep thinking about that. So that's why we commit Wizard here. And then we kind of forced them to, if they had Nib, that would have been the last spot to do it because we could have made Allied code. But it wasn't exactly game because of Izuna. So we instead went for access code, pop, put the Holy Soon attack, very important with Wizard. This is just game on board right here. We did waste a pop because we kind of forgot about the trap protecting their guys. So we should have just kept the attribute in the graveyard of the Link Disciple.
Yeah, I mean it didn't affect us too much here. It just means that we couldn't pop these in later, but it didn't matter. We still get lethal anyways.
Yeah. I mean we have lethal through their attack position monsters, so that really doesn't matter. But yeah, so here they activate Azuna after we attempt to go battle phase, because again we just have game over the 2 attack position monsters. Whatever body they put in the way to block, it literally does not matter. I don't even Ash it. Like I said, like we want to, worst case scenario, they have Nibiru, at least we save Ash because we can beat this Lupus with our Cryptor. So it does not matter. We don't have to Ash it. So they activate it, we banish it, and then they just scoop because we have game. And game 2.
Then game 2 it's a little bit less fun. It starts off with us drawing an absolutely Julien-like hand of Dark Ruler no more plus Harpies with Dormouse.
Every time.
A Floodgate, and then a way to play through any sort of interaction. So good hand here. They do the unthinkable and they brick and Vanquish Soul. Who would have guessed that if you open a ridiculous 5-card combo 2 games in a row, that you're going to brick eventually. Anyways, they set Snow Devil and pass with their only attributes in hand being Earth Monsters. It doesn't do anything at all. They literally have only Izuna and Lancia as their disruptions here. We start off by activating Harpy's Feather Duster, like Kenny Wynn, throwing it into the graveyard at Mach 2 speed. Then we set MTP and no more Dormouse. We activate Dormouse here, and they decide to chain Lancia. One major thing here I want to talk about is how this is a misplay. If you are going to Lancia on a Dormouse, you should do it on the summon of Dormouse, because of that, we just randomly got an extra 600 attack boost, because even if Dormouse doesn't banish, since the wording on it says also, it's still going to gain that 600 for all Malice monsters you control. So we attack here. They take 900 damage, and we didn't even notice that. We talked about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about it verbally in Discord as this was happening, that they were going to take more damage and they're a bozo, and then we didn't even notice that they didn't take the right amount of damage.
Yeah, we didn't notice. One thing that we considered but didn't do is we thought about chaining MTP, banishing Dormouse, adding either like a Hare or most likely another Dormouse, and just not summoning the Dormouse back, just so that Fu would be live. That definitely would have been better because this opened us to top decks. Whereas if they top deck something and we fluid them, they'd have to pass on not much, and then we'd have Dark Ruler, Dormouse, Baldrake. They're not gonna kill us because of the Fua, and if they try to kill us, we have the Baldrake to block, so we'd be in a good spot.
Yeah, definitely some sort of misplay there. I'll be honest, we didn't get punished, so it's not the biggest deal. They start their turn by normal summoning Izuna, and they dump a Jokul. And this is where I start freaking out. I'm like, Julien, we misplayed. They're gonna Fua us. And I go, because I think they have Lantern in their hand. That's why they're sending Jokul. So they can go like Lantern, Revive Jokul, get so much extension. But nope, as soon as they send the Jokul and they go battle phase, it's confirmed in our brain that one card in their hand is Lupus, and that they just drew poorly. So anyways, they go attack.
We had Baldrake if they had Lantern for specifically that. So that would have been a misplay from that.
Yeah, but they also that could make us playing the talents at that point in time, which we don't know the other cards in their hand, so that's a possibility. Still best to avoid situations if you don't have to play into them. They attack our guy. They go in phase, pass. We go in the end phase, Baldrake, target our Dormouse. Specifically for Lupus here, Lupus's effect is only to special summon from Hand or Grave during the main phase. The effect to exceed can be used whenever. But if we do the Baldric in the end phase here, then they just can't activate the Lupus. And then when we get back to our turn, we're just not going to play into Lupus the entire time, just to kind of minimize the situation, minimize the bad things that could happen. We go Dormouse effect again. For some reason, they Lancia us because we love getting floodgated. And we find a pretty cool line here. We normal the Fuwalos, and then we think for just a little bit, and we decide the best thing to do is to make a Dark here because they sent that Jokel. It's going to give us one extra cool body to play with. We use Dark Effect, take their Jokel, and then we decide to put it in the right zone, link off the Dark, link off the Dormouse, make a Red Ransom, and then use Red Ransom to go ahead and search for Malice in the mirror. One cool thing here is that we actually use the effect of Jokel to search. This was a joke. You can play Azuna in your deck, and this is a real situation to look out for. If you Dark take a Jokel, being able to use Jokel to add a hand trap, or even like a double extender if like that situation is live, is super cool. But no, we're just messing with them. There's not actually an Azuna in our deck. Yeah, and they obviously know we're kidding here. But we go battle phase. We just run over their guys, and we end up passing with Imperm set, Malice in the Mirror set, as well as the MTP. And there's just really nothing they're going to be able to do that. We know one card in their hand is Lupus. The other card is Unknown. And even if they draw any, like if they draw the best card in their deck, they draw Raisin, or they draw Extrav for some reason, because people are playing Extrav in this tournament, into Raisin like another thing, there's nothing they can do to really out all of our disruptions. For some reason, Julien set this Dark Ruler no more. He waited 45 seconds before setting it and said, now they're going to think it's Impulse, and he set it for no reason. It didn't do anything for us at all, but if you're wondering why we set it, that is the reason. And then from here, they just admit defeat. So that was round 1 of the tournament. This was against... I'm going to say his name wrong, and I apologize. Manon, I think his name is. Super nice guy. He's from the Northeast. I actually played him in Top Cut at YCS Orlando and got my butt beat. But he's a super nice guy. Shout out to him. If you guys had any questions about any of the plays that we made in this video, or you had any questions about the deck list or this tournament in general, leave them in the comment section down below. Once again, I want to shout out Julien. He's right down here. He's French. You guys can subscribe to him in the comment section down below. No matter what, I appreciate you guys watching the video, though, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. Thanks. Bye-bye.